Picture this. It's 2026. Labour MPs are huddled in dimly lit Westminster corridors, whispering about the unthinkable, passing folded pieces of paper like schoolchildren cheating on an exam. Except instead of test answers, they're plotting to remove their own prime minister using a method so secretive it sounds like something from a political thriller. Secret ballots, hushed conversations, unprecedented measures. This isn't House of Cards, this is real life, and Keir Starmer might be about to find out that winning a landslide doesn't mean much when your party decides you're the problem. With Labour polling at a catastrophic 19%, neck and neck with the Conservatives, while Reform UK absolutely dominates at 26%, desperate times are apparently calling for desperate measures. So, buckle up, because we're about to dive into exactly how Labour could remove Keir Starmer from office, why they might actually do it, and who's waiting in the wings to take his place. Welcome to the political thriller nobody asked for, but everyone's about to get. Let's start with just how spectacularly dire things have become for Keir Starmer, because context is everything here. The man won a landslide victory less than 18 months ago. A landslide, the kind of victory that's supposed to give you political capital for years, the kind that lets you govern with confidence and authority. Except apparently nobody told the British public that they were supposed to stay enthusiastic about Labour, because the polling has remained stubbornly, horrifyingly, apocalyptically gloomy ever since. YouGov put Labour on 19% as of December 22nd. 19%. Let that sink in for a moment. The party that won a general election landslide is now polling at 19%, which is roughly the approval rating of root canal surgery or airport security queues. They're neck and neck with the Conservatives at 19%, which is embarrassing enough given that the Tories were supposed to be in opposition rebuilding mode and Labour was supposed to be governing successfully. But the real knife in the back is Reform UK sitting pretty at 26%. Reform is outpolling the governing party by 7 points. That's not a blip, that's not a bad week, that's a complete and utter catastrophe. It means more people would vote for Nigel Farage's party than the party currently running the country. That's the kind of statistic that makes Labour MPs wake up in cold sweats wondering if they'll still have jobs after the next election. So what's Starmer been doing about this freefall? Well, he's been trying everything, which is either admirably flexible or desperately flailing depending on your perspective. He's tried emulating some of Nigel Farage's stances, which is a wild strategic choice when you think about it. You win an election as Labour, then decide the best move is to copy the guy leading the party that's demolishing you in the polls. There was his Island of Strangers speech, which immediately had people accusing him of doing an Enoch Powell tribute act. For those who need a history refresher, Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech is one of the most controversial and divisive speeches in British political history. So being compared to that is not exactly a compliment. It's more like a political death sentence wrapped in historical infamy. But Starmer's also been trying to appease his left-wing backbenchers, presumably hoping that if he throws them enough bones, they'll stop plotting against him. He scrapped the two-child benefit cap, which was one of those policies that progressives absolutely hated. And he's planning $5 billion in cuts to welfare, which, wait a minute, wouldn't that upset the left-wing backbenchers he's trying to appease? It's like he's simultaneously trying to move right on immigration and left on benefits, which means he's basically guaranteed to upset everyone while satisfying no one. It's political triangulation, except the triangle has become a very confused polygon that nobody recognizes. And speaking of people who might replace him, the vultures aren't just circling, they're practically landing on his shoulders. Wes Streeting, who's one of Starmer's potential challengers, has helpfully pointed out that this government is too technocratic. That's politician speak for we're boring and we're not connecting with voters. Except coming from inside the government, it's basically a public admission that yes, we're failing, and also I could do better. Angela Rayner is also being touted as a challenger, and frankly, she's been deputy leader long enough that people either think it's her turn or that she should have moved on by now. Then there are whispers about Ed Miliband, the energy secretary, who already had his shot at Labour leadership and lost a general election. But apparently we're so desperate we're looking at the bench players who already struck out. and Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, whose name is being floated despite her having one of the toughest jobs in government dealing with immigration and crime. The fact that there are this many names being openly discussed tells you everything about how weak Starmer's position is. When political journalists can rattle off 4 or 5 potential replacements without breaking a sweat, you know the current leader is in trouble. These aren't wild speculation names either. These are senior cabinet members and prominent labor figures. The plot isn't just brewing, it's practically got its own WhatsApp group and strategy meetings. Now here's where it gets really juicy, because apparently if Labor's fortunes don't improve in 2026, and let's be honest, that's looking increasingly likely, MPs could take what's being described as unprecedented measures. That phrase alone should make your political radar ping, because unprecedented measures in the context of removing a leader sounds ominous, dramatic, and slightly desperate all at once. It's the kind of thing that gets written about in political history books under titles like The Collapse. The Spectator, which has its finger on the pulse of Westminster gossip, suggests one of these unprecedented measures would be a secret ballot to select Starmer's successor. A secret ballot, not an open challenge, not public letters of no confidence, but a secret ballot where MPs can knife their leader in the back without anyone knowing who wielded the blade. It's beautifully ruthless in that uniquely British political way. No messy public rebellion, no martyrdom for Starmer, just a quiet, efficient removal via anonymous paper slips. It's the political equivalent of being disappeared, except instead of being taken away in the night, you're voted out in secret and told to pack your things from number 10. To understand why this would be unprecedented, we need to look at how removing a party leader normally works, and the best recent examples come from the Conservatives because they've had so much practice lately. The method for removing a Tory leader is well known after the recent years of absolute chaos that saw them burn through prime ministers faster than most people go through Netflix subscriptions. Letters of no confidence get submitted to the 1922 Committee, which is the organization of Conservative backbench MPs. Once enough letters are submitted and a threshold is met, a leadership ballot takes place. It's relatively straightforward, relatively transparent, and relatively brutal because everyone knows who submitted letters and who didn't. Labor's process is different and arguably more complex. The current occupant of number 10 would need to be presented with a challenger who has the support of at least 20% of the Parliamentary Labour Party to trigger a full leadership contest. That's a significant threshold. If Labour has roughly 400 MPs, you need about 80 of them to back a challenger before anything even starts. Those written nominations would be submitted to the General Secretary of the party, which means the party machinery gets involved and things can get complicated and political very quickly. Once a contest is triggered, Labour uses a one-member, one-vote system that ensures equal weight is given to the votes of MPs, Labour members, and members of affiliated organizations like trade unions. This is crucial because it means that even if MPs overwhelmingly want someone gone, if the membership loves them, they could survive. We saw this exactly play out in 2016 when Jeremy Corbyn was challenged by Owen Smith. Corbyn was deeply unpopular with Labour MPs. They wanted him gone desperately. But when it went to a vote, Corbyn secured 61.8% to Smith's 38.2%. He won the support of members at 59%, registered supporters at 70%, and trade union affiliates at 60%. The membership loved him even though the MPs couldn't stand him. And because Labour's system gives the membership power, Corbyn survived. This is why a secret ballot to select a successor would be unprecedented and potentially game-changing. If MPs could secretly agree on a replacement without going through the full membership vote process, they could remove a leader that the membership might still support. It would be a parliamentary coup, essentially. The elected representatives deciding they know better than the members and taking matters into their own hands. Now, whether that's even possible under Labour's constitution is debatable. Party rules are complex, and trying to bypass the membership would likely cause an enormous internal fight. But the fact that it's even being discussed tells you how desperate some MPs are getting. The big question is whether there's actually anyone who could unite the party better than Starmer. Let's run through the potential candidates quickly. Wes Streeting is young, energetic, media-savvy, and has that Blair-esque smooth-talking thing going on. But he's also quite right-wing for Labour, which means the left of the party would absolutely revolt. He'd face the same factional problem Starmer does, possibly worse.
Angela Rayner is more left-wing, working-class northern background, been loyal to the party, but does she have the gravitas and strategic mind to be prime minister? Some would say yes, others would argue she's better as a deputy than a leader. Ed Miliband already had his shot at Labour leadership and lost a general election, which is not exactly a stellar credential for getting another shot. Yes, he's got experience and he's passionate about climate issues, but voters already rejected him once. And Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, whose name is being floated despite her having one of the toughest jobs in government, dealing with immigration and crime. The fact that there are this many names being openly discussed tells you everything about how weak Starmer's position is. When political journalists can rattle off 4 or 5 potential replacements without breaking a sweat, you know the current leader is in trouble. These aren't wild speculation names either. These are senior cabinet members and prominent Labour figures. The plot isn't just brewing, it's practically got its own WhatsApp group and strategy meetings. Now here's where it gets really juicy, because apparently if Labour's fortunes don't improve in 2026, and let's be honest, that's looking increasingly likely,